What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show. We discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on new videos that come out here every day. We discuss money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and stimulus check update. If you watched our previous video, you know about the bill that was just introduced here in the Senate to tax the gas companies on their excess profits that they're doing to basically take away their billions and billions of dollars over and above that they're gouging the American consumers on. That's from the Senate Finance Committee, which is Ron Wyden, who's a Democrat. We also have we got a couple different things, so I'll let you hear from President Biden here in a second. We also have a bill from Republicans. It's different bill, but here's a bill that's proposed by Republicans. Check this out. Okay, this comes from Republican Senator Chuck Grassley and several other Republican senators. Senator John Barrasso from Wyoming, Steve Daines from Montana, Republican Senator James Lankford from Oklahoma. Chuck Grassley is from Iowa. He's from Iowa, and he has been a senator from Iowa since 1981. Wow. And he's 88 years old. Even more wow. Yeah, so he's been there for quite a long time. So here is their proposal by several Republican senators. You can see it right here on the screen. I know it's going to be small, so I can zoom it up in here in a second. Amid record inflation, Republican senators propose middle class savings protection. Here's what it says. Family savings and interest diluted by inflation still face taxes. Senators push for targeted relief to protect and encourage middle class savers without exacerbating inflation. Yeah, you can see here this is by Senator Chuck Grassley from Iowa, John Barrasso, Steve Daines, James Lankford, and several Republican senators today introduced legislation to provide relief and protections for middle class savings that still face federal taxes, despite significantly diminished value imposed by historic rates of inflation. The Middle Class Savings and Investment Act would help lower and middle income Americans, their families, and retirees. And inflation outpaces any interest earned or gains accrued by their savings through targeted tax relief. So you can let me know your thoughts here on this. They said, quote, the reckless spending, backwards energy policy, and over economic mismanagement of this administration has led to 40-year high inflation. Even though we know inflation is all over the world, the UK actually has higher inflation than us. But I digress. Unlike other plans like gas tax rebates or gas tax rebates, that would be checks, or increased taxes on businesses, our legislation will not further fan the fires of inflation, he says. Middle class families, retirees, small businesses, and farmers have watched their savings erode in value while still facing taxes on gains that may not even keep pace with inflation. This creates a perverse incentive to spend now rather than save, further fueling inflation. Our bill will ensure that those hurting most from inflation aren't further burdened by those taxes. And they go on to have 3 or 4 more other senators go on to blame Biden, the reckless policies of the Biden administration. Another one says Oklahomans know it's good to save money in case of an emergency. $5, but Biden's inflation and record high $5 gallon or gas, et cetera, et cetera. Here's what it says here. The Middle Class Savings and Investment Act would target relief for Americans by excluding a reasonable amount of interest income from being subject to tax, $600 for married couples, $300 for individuals. More than doubling the size of the 0% lowest tax bracket for long-term capital gains and qualified dividends, and indexing the income thresholds to inflation. You guys can let me know your thoughts on this plan. This is the Republican Senate plan. Eliminating the marriage penalty that exists in the current net investment tax, which subjects some income to an additional 3.8% tax, and indexing its income threshold to inflation. Increasing the maximum savers credit an individual may receive for contributing to qualified retirement accounts like 401k accounts and IRAs, and expanding the availability of this credit to taxpayers. And that's basically it. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. That's the Republican senator's proposal that just came out here within the last days or two. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Here is what President Biden has to say. I got two clips here for you. Check this out.
The problem is Republicans in Congress are doing everything they can to stop my plans to bring down costs on ordinary families. That's why my plan is not finished and why the results aren't finished either. Jobs are back, but prices are still too high. COVID is down, but gas prices are up. Our work isn't done. But here's the deal. America still has a choice to make. A choice between a government by the few, for the few, or a government for all of us. Democracy for all of us, an economy where all of us have a fair shot and a chance to earn our place in the economy. My plan is simple. First, I'm doing everything in my power to blunt Putin's gas price hike. Just since he invaded Ukraine, it's gone up $1.74 a gallon because of nothing else but that. So I have a plan to bring down the cost of gas and food. It's going to take time, but let the world coordinate the largest release, what I've been able to do, the largest release of oil from the global fund in history, 1 million barrels a day, and 240 million barrels to boost global supply while I convinced other nations to join us, to keep prices from rising even more. And I'm working closely with our European partners to get 20 million tons of grain locked in Ukraine out onto the market to help bring down food prices.
President Biden sending a letter to about 7 oil and gas CEOs this morning. We got a copy, by the way, of one of the letters that was sent. I'm not going to read it. It's about a page and a half long. But effectively, the president sending letters to Shell, Exxon, Chevron, Valero, and a few others talking about record high profit margins, saying you need to raise your output, raise your refining capacity as well. You and your companies have an opportunity to take immediate actions to increase supply of gas, diesel, and other refined products. He's trying to bring down prices. President Biden saying, quote, I have directed the Secretary of Energy to convene an emergency meeting on the topic and engage the National Petroleum Council in the next few days. So this is all brand new, guys, by the way. So I apologize for looking down and reading, literally just printed it out. Okay. The president looking to bring down gasoline prices by pressuring refiners and oil companies to produce more, refine more. Will it work? I don't think so in the near term, simply because global demand is so strong, but they're trying, guys. This is in an incredibly inflationary environment, which is why, to your point, we are seeing the stock market tank. It's because inflation and the real risk of recession in the next year to 12 months or 18 months is out there.
All right, CNBC's Brian Sullivan, thank you so much.
Okay.
And Admiral, you and I are the only people at the table old enough to remember what happened in '74. That really was the start with OPEC, the embargo. That was the first time we realized it's really beyond our control. President Biden can release as much as he wants from the Strategic Oil Reserve. He can do these other things on energy, but this is driven by supply and demand. Yeah. The oil companies, and I'm not blasting the oil companies because it made sense during COVID, they cut back dramatically on production because demand was way down. Yeah. You can't just turn on a light switch and have oil production ramp right up.
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts on that as well in the comments. Of course, I know I'll get a lot of different comments from Republicans and Democrats, and what a beautiful society we have with different points of view. Alas, where's Captain Jack Sparrow when you need him? He's out there celebrating somewhere, right? Um, but yeah, on a ship that hopefully doesn't take diesel, right? But yeah, so the thing is here is that Congress is trying to figure something out. The president's trying to figure something out. Um, Gas prices just keep going up, and these big oil and gas companies keep laughing their way to the bank, and they keep announcing that they're going to buy back more shareholders' stock. That's what they're doing with the money. The what was it? Was it the Shell or the Chevron CEO said that they're never going to build another refinery in the U.S. ever, and there hasn't been a new refinery built in the U.S. since the 70s, 50 years. They don't want to spend the money, and the refineries is part of the problem. It definitely, in fact, one article I've seen said it's probably the largest part of the problem on why prices are going up. One of the largest part of the problems. So it's almost like the oil companies are just mocking us, mocking us. They don't want to raise supply because they know that it would lower gas prices. They have the capacity to raise supply. And when they're like, why don't you raise supply? They'll just like blame it on the government, saying, oh, well, government's constraining us. When the reality of it is that who was it? We had a congressman. We had his clip on the show here a few days ago that said something like that their supply is less. They're producing less oil than they did 5 years ago. So it's not that the government's constraining them. It's that they're just producing less oil, and they have told their shareholders that they don't want to ramp up the production too much. They've tweaked it a little bit. They've turned it up a little bit. So has OPEC, and Saudi Arabia and all them over there. They've turned up their production up a little bit as well, just enough. They all know exactly what they're doing, guys. They know exactly what they're doing. So what they've done is they've turned their oil production up a little bit, just enough to increase their gas flow so that they're making more money, but enough to keep the gas prices extremely high. So they're playing the game perfectly. They know exactly what they're doing. I mean, they're billionaires. They're billionaires, okay? So what they're doing is they're not increasing supply too much so that gas prices don't come down. See, the problem is that these oil and gas companies and these billionaires, these princes over there, when you go over to the Saudi Arabia and stuff, you got these kings and stuff that are just filthy rich, that are filthy rich from oil. They're part of the global economy. It's not just the U.S. here, guys. It's not just the U.S. It's global oil is a global thing here. Okay, what happens is if they pump too much oil into the economy, gas prices start to come down. Okay. So what they have done is they've all said, we're only going to turn up the gas supply. Not, it's really not just the US, because remember that all these gas companies, BP, Shell, Exxon, Chevron, they're all global companies now. They've just turned up the supply just a little bit, just enough to keep these gas prices sky high. And in fact, they've done it so well that they actually have sent the gas prices continuing to go up, continuing to go up. Yes, it's sick. It's just crazy. Yeah. So yeah, this is kind of the problem, and yeah, this is this is what we're dealing with. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments, and I, we can blame the president, we can blame the Democrats, we can blame the Republicans. That's not going to bring the price of gas down. We're going to have to take action. We're going to have to Congress is going to have to do something. They did in the United Kingdom. Other countries are taking action. They're actually passing bills and basically passing legislation and imposing windfall taxes against these oil and gas companies. So I'll link you to that other video, kind of the previous version of this video, so you can see the other half of this video, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about in the other the other bill that the Senate Finance Committee has just introduced with a windfall tax here in the U.S. as well, if they can get it passed. So make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day, 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to see that video on the Senate Finance Committee's oil taxes as well. And you can click here to see my video on stimulus checks here next. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.